morning. The most news in the morning, period. Weekdays 6 Eastern.
Senator Obama not being a Marxist if he intends to spread the wealth around.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
No.
Or is that a real question?
That's a question.
That's Florida anchor, WFTV anchor Barbara West talking to vice presidential candidate Joe Biden. And this interview has really become an internet sensation. It sparked a lot of controversy as well. According to the Orlando Sentinel, the campaign actually called West's line of questioning absurd, then pulled Jill Biden, who's Joe Biden's wife's scheduled interview, and also informed the station that no one else from the campaign would be granting the station any further interviews. Barbara West joins me now from her station in Orlando. Good morning, and thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Karen. It's nice to be here.
Critics are saying that you had an agenda, that some of the questions you were asking Joe Biden were biased and out of line. Did you have an agenda when you were talking to him?
No, my only agenda was to get some serious answers to some serious questions that people in our viewing area want to know the answers to. What's been the reaction from your station, from the management, as to what's happened since, and also the reaction from the Obama campaign saying they're not granting your station any more interviews? Well, first of all, the station has been very supportive. I'm doing the job that I was hired to do, that in fact all of our reporters and news anchors are hired to do. We are a hard news, breaking news station. We are expected to challenge people and to dig for information and to be investigative and to break new ground in news. That is what we do. That's what we are all about. And that is why we are definitely the dominant news station here in Central Florida. As far as how the campaign reacted to this, I mean, I just think it's silly. I'm going to take my ball and go play someplace else. I mean, all right, let's listen, Barbara, to a little bit more of some of the questions that you asked Biden. Aren't you embarrassed by the blatant attempts to register phony voters? Isn't Senator Obama's comment a potentially crushing political blunder? Are you forewarning Americans that nothing will be done and that America's days as the world's leading power are over? Now, when you were talking to him, some of the words that you used, like embarrassing, blatant, phony, did you mean to come off as combative as some say you did with Joe Biden? Well, let's look at my question about the Acorn voter registration. We had done a week's worth of stories on phony voter registrations, including registering Mickey Mouse right here in Central Florida. That's phony. What other word would you like to use about that? As far as saying, could this be a potentially fatal blow? In fact, that was a question that Newt Gingrich was also asking hypothetically, but I wanted to ask Joe Biden, did he feel that this was really something that could sabotage their campaign by having talked about spreading the wealth? Now, I want to ask you about your McCain interview. You did interview John McCain. I saw some of it. You asked him about whether Democrats are painting him in a box. You asked him why he hadn't gone after Obama on Acorn. It sounded at times like you were perhaps giving him some strategic advice. Do you think that you were softer on John McCain? I don't think you saw my most recent interview with John McCain, which was just yesterday. And do remember, please, that when I interviewed John McCain, these other issues had not yet cropped up. Finding the voter registration fraud as extensive as it was here in Central Florida had not yet happened at the time of the interview that you're quoting. And Barbara, no, we did also have McCain. You did challenge him on reports of infighting between McCain's camp and Palin's camp. And let's listen to a little clip of that right now. How can you convince the American public that you are ready to lead when the thing you're in charge of, your campaign, appears to be lacking the same fine-tuned coordination as Senator Obama's?
Well, I don't know frankly, what you're talking about.
Do you think that the national media has been too soft on the candidates in this presidential process? I think the national media needs to be more probing and needs to ask them some pretty direct questions. You know, tomorrow night we're going to get a half hour of Senator Obama pitching himself to the American public, but no media is going to be able to be asking him any questions during that half hour at all. Now, do you think too much has been made over the fact that your husband did some strategy work with the for the GOP during 1992 and during some of the other campaigns? He also donated to Republicans since 2000.
Well, there is absolutely nothing wrong or unethical in donating to the party of your choice. My husband made his own donations. I was not involved with those donations. He let me know that he was making donations, but he made it very clear to the people that he donated to or the organizations that he donated to that I had nothing to do with that, and he wanted them to be perfectly clear on that. As far as his affiliation with the Republican Party and doing consulting for Republicans, that was during the Clinton administration, and I'd also like people to know that he also worked for Senator Paul Wellstone in doing some shaping of the media presentation of the sex slave trade and combating that, and also the Clinton administration State Department hired him to go over to Europe and to South America to work with local officials who were perceived as friends to the United States to help them shape the media message in the war against drugs. So he actually has worked for both sides,
Gotcha.
Republicans as well as Democrats.